Hello, everyone, and welcome to CPAC 2020. I'm your host, Amelia Kane, and I'm sitting down with Chris Farrell. Now, Chris, can you discuss with us about Andrew McCabe? You recently wrote an article for the Daily Caller.
Right. So there's a lot of folks that are sort of disheartened or despondent. They're out on a ledge, ready to jump, because it appears that the Department of Justice has given Andrew McCabe a pass, that they refuse to prosecute him, even though it's documented that he's lied under oath repeatedly about all the Russia nonsense, the entire hoax. And I just caution folks to pause for a second and realize that he was given a pass on a pretty narrow scope issue, a defined set of facts with respect to just one aspect of the whole saga. And Mr. Durham, he's not special, I should check that. He's a U.S. attorney designated by the Attorney General to look into the whole Russia hysteria and really get to the bottom of what the government was doing, abusing its power. Mr. Durham hasn't acted yet. He's still actively doing his investigation. He can impanel a grand jury, bring indictments. And so just because McCabe got a pass on one narrow slice of the whole story, it doesn't immunize him forever. And Mr. Durham still hasn't completed his investigation or brought any indictments, so everyone should calm down.
Now, this seems interesting because Durham is known as a bulldog. Why is he not attacking yet?
Yeah, that's a point of great frustration for myself personally, only because you've seen the Department of Justice headquarters, main justice, but even subordinate offices like the Southern District of New York move like lightning against folks associated sort of in the Trump circle to one degree or another. And so prosecutions are brought, they go to trial, there's great speed on one half of the equation, and then with respect to government officials who really, I think it's plainly obvious now, have acted either improperly or unlawfully, there's this, it seems like a glacial pace of movement, right? They are not zipping to a grand jury and indictments and trials. And so there's great frustration there, and I'll be the first one to sign up and say, I'm frustrated too. I'd much rather see some action. And I believe it's coming, I have to have faith and hope and trust that it's going to occur, but it's certainly not happening as fast as I would like to see it happen.
Now, what does Judicial Watch hope to happen with Andrew McCabe?
Well, you've got a very senior government official, a guy who was at one point acting director of the FBI, who has admitted, and there's IG reports, there's congressional testimony, he was fired from the FBI. He's a liar. And he's not just a liar, he's a perjurer. He has made false statements under oath knowingly. And so there's got to be accountability, right? The message that's sent to the average American when an acting FBI director can brazenly perjure himself and then just get a pass and show up on CNN and get a book deal. I mean, that disparity of treatment, that one set of rules for some people, another set of rules for everybody else, it's very corrosive. I mean, it really tears at the fabric of the nation because, regular normal people, not the DC crowd, right? Not the New York and LA people. Regular normal Americans look at that and think to themselves, you know what? If it was me, they would rake me over the coals, right? And you can't have a system of justice where that's the standard. You just can't.
Now, can you provide any equivalent to a conservative individual who had who committed the same unlawful act, but got
nailed?
Yeah.
So probably the easiest one, and it's very contentious because it isn't clear. He pled out to it, but now he's withdrawn his plea, is General Flynn. And, this is a very twisted case. It's my personal opinion that General Flynn was leaned on and his son's legal situation threatened. And he basically was given this ultimatum of, you plead out to a false official statement and we'll turn a blind eye to your son and we'll get you and kind of muddy up the Trump circle. And so he's put in an impossible position. And he said, all right, I'll say that, we had a disagreement on what you think that I said, kind of a thing. And then it became clear that he was railroaded. And so he's withdrawn his plea. The case is being reviewed in its entirety. A very competent appeals attorney named Sidney Powell is representing him. Really, the whole thing should just be dismissed. But there's a lightning fast move against somebody. And here's the dirty little secret when it comes to investigations. And so I say this having done it for a living, right? So I was a former Army counterintelligence special agent. I've interviewed people under oath. I've prosecuted cases, in military courts and in German criminal courts. And I can tell you that if I interview you for 2 hours and I want to, I can get you on a violation of 18 U.S. Code, Section 1001, false official statement. Because at one point in the conversation, you're going to say of, and in another part of the conversation, you're going to say from. I'm going to say that was deceptive. Your story changed. Were you lying then or are you lying now? So, that's the mentality that one can take. And so it's really quite easy for federal law enforcement officers. If they really want to drill down, they will get you on a 1001 claim. It's like the lowest hanging fruit out there. It's the default. When there's nothing else there, it's the default gotcha crime that prosecutors will use to go after somebody.
And this is what happened to General Flynn.
In my opinion, this is a Flynn setup. And that's exactly, look, this guy's a retired 3-star general. He's the former director of the Defense Intelligence Agency. This is not some campaign operative at a low level who thought he was being cute. This is a very credentialed, very experienced, extremely senior guy who met with FBI agents thinking that they were cooperating. It was a setup. Comey even admitted it. Comey said he never would have tried a stunt like that under Obama or Bush, but he sent guys in, not in a straightforward interview, but in some attempt to engage with some subterfuge and really put a hook in Flynn. Well, I guess they did it technically, but is General Flynn really a threat to the Republic? No, he's not. It's just,
so you would say that he's not a threat to the
correct. He's the last person, right? The last person. So that's what we're looking at. That's the situation we face. And for John Q. Citizen, whether he's in Dallas or Akron, Ohio, or pick a town in America, who looks at this and goes, this is nuts. This is crazy. It's crazy that it's happening. And if that's the standard that's going to be applied, if that's the new justice in this country, what does it say for the average American?
Speaking of that, do you think that this makes Americans lose hope and lose faith in their government?
Definitely lose faith, right? It's been damaged, dented, tarnished. I don't think they lose hope. I don't think that there's despair over it. I think there's anger, frustration. There's a lot of other words. We can go through a dictionary and pick words out that are most appropriate. I don't think hope is broken, but I think that there's been real damage, and I don't necessarily know how it gets fixed. It's not going to get fixed fast. That's for sure. That's, in my opinion, that's for certain.
Okay. Now, where does Judicial Watch go from here?
The same place we've been going for the last 20 years that I've worked here, right? So we don't stop, we don't quit, we don't forget. We're very persistent, wonderfully annoying to various government officials. So, look, we've got something like 7,000 Freedom of Information Act requests under active management. We have hundreds of cases in litigation. Stuff that's old news, that is well, who cares? What does it matter now? We continue to pursue doggedly. A great example is Benghazi, right? Who talks about Benghazi on a daily basis? Well, we do. And why? Because I can trace from Benghazi to Hillary Clinton's emails to the Russia hoax It's one arc. The only reason anybody even knows about Hillary Clinton's email server is because we sued over Benghazi. They produced Benghazi records and documents. There was like this hole in a donut. There was a conspicuous absence. All these government officials in different agencies are talking to each other, except Hillary Clinton. Where's her emails? Who was she talking to? Who emailed her? And that was the universe of documents that was on her email server. And the State Department very sheepishly came back to us after 10 months of litigation and said, we found another universe of documents. Well, what's that? And then they admitted that she had an email server, and then that just took on a life of its own, right?
Right.
So it's all connected. It's crazy, but it's true.
Yes. Well, thank you, Chris.
Great to talk to you.
And you can read Chris Farrell's op-eds in the Daily Caller and learn more about his work on our website. It's on judicialwatch.org.